to another edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves, just outside hot, humid Louisville, Kentucky, and in soon to be hot and humid Maryland. My longtime friend, esteemed colleague, and all around good guy, John Webster. John, how are you this morning?
Hey, Gary, I'm doing great, man. It's a heat wave coming through here as well. About 95 or 98 degrees today.
Drink
I'm
your
in the
water,
house,
bro. Take it from me.
in the house right now. Kim's got the air conditioner on, so yeah, we're good to go right now.
Yeah. Well, let's get right into it. We are now in the post NBA Finals aftermath, and congratulations to the Boston Celtics, who we both picked to win the series. They closed it out in 5 games. I had them in 6. You had them in 7. But the bottom line is they closed the deal this year, and good for them on a number of levels because, yeah, after what happened a couple of years ago, I really had doubts that they could get back. After what happened last year, with Miami, I had my doubts of whether they could get back, but I think I saw the number was that they went 16-3 in these playoffs, and just basically when they won big. And that stretch, that little spurt they went on near the end of the first quarter, where I guess it's like what, a 21-19 game or something, and it ended up being something like a 28-18 lead, and they just steadily, I mean, it was, I think, for the most part, until it got to late in the third quarter, I think where they had gotten up by, I think it was like 24 or something at one point, that they just played. They won that game like they won a lot of games this year, dominantly. They just steadily build on what they do. It was like no real huge spurt, even though they've been capable of that. And for them to bounce back after just getting, curb stomped by, 38 points in game 4, I thought was really, really impressive. But congratulations to them. When you win something like, I think what they said, they went 80-21 this season, regular season and postseason combined. That's very, 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 very impressive, and on a number of levels. And I think it was like every one of their victories were like by 20 plus points, or something like that. But probably one of the most dominant championship efforts that I've seen in a long time. And the right guy, I think, got the MVP award. I mean, I picked Jaylen Brown before. I think you had Jason Tatum, but the two of them together, obviously, John, got the job done. Uh, they deferred to each other. They lifted each other up. There didn't seem to be any kind of competition. And for those people who think that Jason Tatum got job, well, yeah, you can you got a good point, because he did make a case in that last game. But the Finals MVP is based on a body of work, and Jaylen Brown basically earned it that way. I mean, he earned it through merit, just over a series of games. And Jason Tatum, again, he was a contributor, and there's nothing wrong with that. A big contributor, but this was Jaylen Brown's team this year.
Well, Gary, congratulations to the Boston Celtics. They're going to raise banner number 18. Tremendous job for them this year. They were the team from the very beginning everybody was looking at. They were the team everybody was looking at in the playoffs, and then the end of the last team standing.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown getting MVP, very, very happy for him. I think I've said to you before, I think to everybody, I've liked both of them, but my guy is the one I really enjoy is Jaylen Brown. I think Jason Tatum does a great job. They are not a 1-2 punch. They are not Batman and Robin. They are a 1-1 punch. They are Batman and Batman, Aquaman and Aquaman. I don't see, as I said, I
And they're
do.
both pointing at each other like Spider-Man, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like Jaylen Brown a little bit more, but that's not saying he's a little better or a little worse. I just enjoy Jaylen Brown a little bit more, but they both are very accomplished ball players. Without both of them, Boston is not here. I'll also give you I'll give you two more unsung heroes, Gary.
Mm-hmm. I already know where you're
One,
going.
one will be Drew Holiday,
Mm-hmm.
because I think the Porzingis move was good, but I think that Drew Holiday move was more important. He gave you another guard, not only a guard, but a person who can guard the 1, 2, and a 3. He gave you also a strong defender and also a leader, um, silent leader, not really loud, but a silent leader. He's a workman, comes to play every day with his construction helmet on. He's a grinded out kind of guy. The other one that I will give an MVP to would be the general manager, Brad Stevens.
Yep.
I'll call him a young Red Auerbach, because some of these moves that Brad Stevens was able to make, you look at how he positioned the team to get Tatum and Brown. Basically, it was with the New Jersey Nets when they got rid of Pierce and Garnett. And they got 2 first-round picks, future first-round picks, who turned out to be Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You look at how he moved Marcus Smart, and he got Drew Holiday. He moved what's my man's name? Blagden. He
Oh
moved
yeah.
him. He moved him out. You moved in Derek White. He's been very Kimball Walker, and you brought in Al Horford, or you brought Al Horford back.
Yeah.
He's been very smart. And the thing is, you look at Brad Stevens, and man, he's nice guy. You look so friendly. You want to sit and talk to him, have a ginger ale with him, and talk all day. And you better check your pockets, because all your money's going to be gone, because he, I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's really, really good and really, really shrewd. And I think not enough is said about him and the team that he has put together. You also got to give credit to Missoula. People have been on Missoula the whole year. I mean, I have to admit, I question shooting so many threes, but what can you say if it's working and it gets you a championship? He's stuck to what he believed in, and it's worked well. Um, the Boston Celtics, and you look at the game last night, they dominated from beginning to end. The defensive pressure that they were able to apply on Dallas. Doncic had 28, but wasn't allowed 28. Kyrie Irving, I think, only had 15 points and took 16 shots.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll say something that I've said before, and I sound like a broken record. When Dallas played Minnesota, they were able to put Minnesota in very bad matchups, which turned into mismatches. When Dallas played Boston, the roles were flipped, and Boston put Dallas in very bad matchups and mismatches. A key to this series was the fact that Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum could guard 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you could not get matchups in open court like they did against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that caused them a lot of problems, caused Dallas a lot of problems. So, people got a little carried away. Are Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic really good? Absolutely. They're probably a really great offensive duo. But I've seen, and you've seen too, Gary, some great offensive duos. I mean, you and I are a little bit older, so we can go back a little bit ways and name some offensive duos that have been successful.
Wes and Big E for one, in our
Who's that?
backyard.
Wes and Big E, some guards. I'll go back and say offensive, you're talking about offensive dynamos. What about Walt Frazier and Earl Monroe with the Knicks? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
that, I'll give you another one. They didn't win a lot, but they scored a lot of points. Sweet Lou Hudson and Pete Maravich with the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh,
So
man.
you
Yeah.
know, I, I'm not saying this to knock Kyrie or Luka. That's not my point. My point is you've had a lot of people who have been able to do some of the same things. Luka and Kyrie are still great, still a formidable backcourt, and I look forward to seeing what they can do next year. I think with Dallas, if you can get Lively to get a low post move, jump hook, little 5 foot, 10 foot jumper, that's going to really help him because right now he's good at getting a lob, he's good at setting the pick, but he doesn't have any go to it move. I think you get a go to it move for him and you're able to keep Gafford and bring Gafford off the bench as a 15-minute, 20-minute player as opposed to maybe starting. I think that helps you.
Mhm.
Dallas can be around for a while, with the backcourt they have, and but they got to get a little bit more out of that front court next year. That Western Conference is brutal. So Denver's not going anywhere. OKC is not going anywhere. I don't think the Clippers are going to go anywhere. Matter of fact, the Clippers just announced today they're going to have Jeff Van Gundy as their top assistant coach next season. So, we'll see how
Yeah.
that works. But, the West is not going to get any weaker. It's going to get better. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on every point. And actually, you made one I was going to make about Dallas that I was thinking last night that, for all the talk about Kyrie Irving shooting struggles, and I mean, obviously they were legitimate, and it was a factor. But I looked at Dallas and I thought, even if Kyrie and Luka were both playing, equally well at the same time, Dallas just did not have enough complementary scoring. Even after PJ Washington, you mentioned Derek Lively. It's like I looked at Boston and the fact that I saw at least eight guys that were capable of chipping in, say, 6 to 10 points capable of. They might not have done it, but they just had guys coming off the bench that could score when they needed it. I mean, Boston's depth was just too much for Dallas. And John, be honest with me. Tell me tell me if you didn't think that what's his name was going to make that half court shot when he
you
had
talking
the
about
ball.
you talking about Pritchard right before halftime?
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, it was
I
funny.
mean,
It was funny.
I was not surprised. I jumped up like everybody else, but I wasn't surprised because I looked at the clock and I said, if he misses one free throw, I said they've got a chance for a last second shot. And I really did think it was going to be in his hands because it was either going to be in his hands or Tatum's hands to shoot that right before that to try to get that one last basket.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. If I'm not mistaken, Pritchard has hit a half court shot before halftime, before in another game during the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I can't remember which series it was, but
Yeah. So I
yeah,
wasn't I wasn't surprised. And honestly, what I said, because I was Kim was right there when I was looking at that, and I just said that's definitely game. I just it because Dallas had just got a three, well, and one. No,
Mhm.
no, Doncic got fouled. He got fouled by Tatum. He made the first shot, missed the second. And then they got the ball with 4 seconds left, and then they hit this shot from half court. What little momentum they had, what little, not a lot, but what little was gone after that. So,
Yeah, indeed. That's and that's the thing about Boston that impressed me that um we had concerns, I think, but when the playoffs started was about Boston taking its eye off the ball, about them losing their focus and maybe dropping a game that they shouldn't. And I think they might have had that moment in their first round series, uh, but that concern really went away quickly. They had a killer instinct. When they won Game Three, to me it didn't matter what happened in Game Four because they were not going to come home and blow Game Five. I was confident. I would have been willing to place a bet on that if I was a betting man. Well, just because Dallas, shit, man, I keep wanting to say Dallas, but Boston just really had that look. And I was when I was jotting down some notes before we went on that I said they were built to win this year. When you win like 64 games, you were built to win this year. And after their past playoff disappointments, where they really just took their eye off the ball, and it raised questions about Jason Tatum, it raised some questions last year about Missoula in his ability to coach. And just looking at the numbers, the defense, the offense, I said, yeah, they were not going to be denied this year. Having said that, do I think that they can repeat next year? They can, but John, the record has shown that unless you're Golden State, it's going to be very, very, very hard to repeat in this league because everybody comes gunning for you the next year. I do think they can be the best team again in the Eastern Conference because we just don't know whether Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Miami, there's probably another team out there in the East, but there's still the Knicks, Cleveland. Do you see any of them really giving Boston a serious challenge right now? No, I don't. But in the West, John, there were 8 teams in the West that could have come out of there. Dallas, I think, matured a lot sooner than people thought, but that they were in the mix did not surprise me, especially with again with Kyrie playing out of his mind. I can't say anything bad about Kyrie Irving now in a lot of ways. I watched his post game interview, and he just sat up there and maturely and logically answered the questions. And I think there was a respect given to him by the media for his knowledge, not any of his off court views or antics or anything else like that. He sounded like probably the most mature Kyrie Irving I think we've ever seen, and the kind of mature Kyrie Irving that we thought would lead a team to the championship, to a championship. I mean, he showed that he can help get a team there. For whatever reason, he just struggled with his shooting. But I can't say anything about his leadership, about his court acumen. I mean, sometimes the shots just don't fall, and maybe he did press a little bit. I don't think going back to Boston really affected him as much as just the fact that when your shot's not falling and it gets in your head. And you said it, I think on I think the last time that when you're at home, it's like it looks like a laundry basket when you're shooting, but when you're on the road, it looks like a thimble. You're trying to shoot in air, and I think that part did get in his head a little bit. But I don't think Boston fans, for all their booing or whatever, I don't think that really bothered him because all the criticism he's caught in his career for a number of things hasn't seemed to bother him. He's just played on. But I'm a Kyrie fan now because he showed a dimension since going to Dallas that we've all been looking for. I think Dallas can be a contender, but in that Western Conference between Denver, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, I'm gonna even throw Sacramento in that mix. You never know what's going to happen with the Lakers. They're capable of it. I don't think they're going to do it, but you mentioned the Clippers. That's a very deep conference. And whoever comes out of there, I think it's going to be pretty formidable. And Denver is going to find a way to adjust after getting bounced this year.
Yeah. As you said, you got Denver, you got Dallas, you got Minnesota, you got OKC, you got the Clippers. The Lakers, I guess. Lakers need to find a coach first.
Yeah.
Sacramento is going to be back in it again. They're a young squad, up and coming. Somebody else people need to look at, Gary. And they're going to sneak up on people because they're really not going to think about them that much. San Antonio, Wembanyama.
Yeah.
They're only going to get better. That whole situation being for him being in San Antonio, I think it's one of the best places for him to be to learn and to be in a comfortable scenario. And I think they're just going to get even better next year. So the
Yeah.
West is going to be tough. Kyrie Irving, happy for him. He got a chance to get back to the finals. He showed a lot of leadership with this team. Also made comments himself about some things he did as he was younger, because they tried to press him into making some comments about Luka and Luka's
Mm.
decisions to be upset on the court. And Kyrie said, I made some mistakes myself when I was that age, and he's there to support Luka. I'm happy for Kyrie Irving. Really happy for what he was able to do this year with Dallas. People want to give him a hard time about Boston. Gotta give Boston some credit. Boston played defense on him. Okay, I mean it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
Kyrie went out there and set out to shoot 5 for 16. Give the Celtics credit. They goes back to what I said before. Not a good matchup for Dallas. Not a good matchup for Doncic. Not a good matchup for Kyrie Irving. But Dallas, hey, take your hat off to them. They were the Western Conference champs. They played hard in this series, but they just didn't have enough to beat the Celtics.
Yeah. Yeah. But John, let's move on to the national pastime and your Baltimore Orioles. I think when we last talked, they were 2.5, 3 games behind the New York Yankees in the East. They've gotten to within a game and a half, and actually playing good ball. They've won 8 out of 10, and they won back-to-back games, coming off a great series, in my opinion, against the Phillies. But big time concerns injury wise, and that seems to be a baseball wide thing. But I'm going to defer to you on this one with the Orioles, because you get a chance to see them a lot more than I do. Thanks a lot, Major League Baseball. But yeah, talk to me about the Orioles and the injury concerns and how you feel like they can overcome them going forward to stay in contention.
Well,
To win a division, I'll put it that way.
first, gotta say Dante and I had a chance to go out to Camden Yards last week. Went to see him play the Atlanta Braves, and that was a lot of fun. It's always fun hanging out with Dante and JR, or Dante and JR, at a baseball game. JR stayed home. They wasn't able to go, so it was me and Dante, and that was a great experience. The only bad thing was Atlanta beat them 6-3. That was the only bad part about it.
Mm-hmm.
Boog's barbecue pit makes up for everything, though, Gary. It's a beautiful experience to go over there, geez. So
Oh,
I just loved it. Yeah, yeah.
oh, I can smell the smoke all the way out here.
Oh man, it was great, man. Like I said, to hang out with Dante at the game, that was a lot of fun for me. Um, Orioles and what they're going through right now. That yes, they played a great series against Philadelphia, won 2 out of 3 over the Phillies. But as I said to you before we came on air today, they've lost John Means, Tyler Wells, and Kyle Bradis all to arm injuries. That's 3 starting pitchers. To give you an idea of where the Orioles are right now on pitching, they're going to a series with the New York Yankees, and they're going with Albert Suarez, Cade Povich, and Cole Irvins. And I don't take anything away from those 3. They're good, and we're going to play what we got. But I would much like to have John Means and Kyle Bradis or Tyler Wells ready for the Yankees, which we don't have. The Yankees are just unbelievable. They're just rolling through everything. Boston slowed them down a little bit this past weekend. Boston took 2 out of 3 from them. I think the Orioles are sitting about a game and a half back. They go start a series with the Yankees Tuesday night. Dante says, maybe you can get 2 out of 3, Pops. Well, Pops will be happy with just 1 out of 3, Gary, because it's rough. Injury bug is hitting a lot of teams in Major League Baseball. The Orioles are getting really great play. Besides the pitching things that are going on, the pitching still, it's good, it's decent, but sometimes can be inconsistent. even the fielding on Sunday. They made 3 errors Sunday when they played the Philadelphia Phillies. They won, but they made 3 errors. That's not good. You need to tighten up your defense. Still, when you got Westberg, Rushman, Henderson, ooh, that's really rough. And Ramon Urias is starting to find his groove. Remember, I mentioned to you earlier about Santander and Hayes that we really need them to start finding their bats. They've started to find their bats. And Cedric Mullins, hopefully he can continue to slowly but surely find his bat. Still got to keep him in center field, Gary. The guy is an unbelievable center fielder, and he is the anchor and the captain in that outfield. You got to play him. Got to play him. Ryan Mountcastle, I think he's about ready to start another hot streak. But I tell you what the Orioles cannot have. They cannot have another injury to another pitcher.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's especially since you start to stretch your minor league system as well. I mean, they've got a pretty solid minor league system that they can bring up pitchers right now, but they're almost at a point I worry where they could bring up some pitchers too soon just because they need warm bodies on the mound. I will say this, that if any team can really try to get a lot out of a little, I think it's the Baltimore Orioles, just because of how they were built to get to this point. They are built for the long haul, John.
Yeah.
Well, as we get ready, we got to wrap up here, but I'm just going to say one thing. Well, two things. I'm going to make 2 points one about the Stanley Cup Finals. The Florida Panthers later on today, after we do this, Florida Panthers host the Edmonton Oilers up 3-1 with a chance to close it out at home. I think they will close it out at home just because they have shown just how solid they are on both ends of the ice. They've gotten offense, but their defense has done such a great job in shutting down Connor McDavid. He got on the board in Game 4, but if you're Edmonton with all that offense, it's been stifled up to a point that I don't know if one game, where you score 6 goals, whether that's going to make a difference or not. It can, but now you've got to do it on road ice. You got to travel 2,500 miles to do it, and that takes its toll as well. I don't know if in that Florida atmosphere whether they can do it, but I'm more confident in Florida just because, again, they were built for this moment after losing in the finals last year to a Las Vegas team that was built for their moment. Secondly, the U.S. Open, congratulations to Bryson DeChambeau for winning. My heart really goes out to Rory McIlroy, because here he is up a stroke with like 4 or 5 holes to play, and he bogeys 3 or 4 holes, loses the lead, and loses by a stroke. And John, if you watch that, it was just heartbreaking to watch a great player who was right on the doorstep of ending a major drought. 10 years now. Last when he won was here in Louisville at the PGA. He's been playing great golf, and John, as we know, having played sports, sometimes when you miss a chance at the easy, at the easy opportunity, how does that stick with you? How do you get that out of your system? He's going to take a few weeks off to really kind of clear his head, which I think is good. But John, I'll say this. I think Rory McIlroy is also the kind of player who can overcome that. He just has to not be hard on himself. And that's what I saw down the stretch at Pinehurst number 2 that really kind of cost him that tournament.
Gary, great points, man. Great points. We'll see what happens with the Florida Edmonton hockey game tonight. And congratulations to Bryson DeChambeau and Roy. I'm with Gary, man. I feel for you, man, but keep your head up. More tournaments and more golf to come for you. Gary, take us on home.
Well, folks, let's see. We still have Olympic trials. We have Wimbledon coming up, not too long. See what else? Well, we just concluded U.S. Open golf. Oh, John, we forgot about the NBA draft. By this time next week, we'll be talking about who goes number one in that. So there's a whole lot to keep your eye on, folks, when it comes to sports. College World Series too. Here in Kentucky, everybody wants to see whether the Wildcats can bounce back against Florida and bring home that elusive trophy. John, I mean, there's so much to go into. I don't even know where to start, but I'll say I'm going to be paying attention to the Olympic trials, in addition to everything else, as well as the Baltimore Orioles and my Washington Nationals, who are hovering at 500, which I didn't think I would see. So, folks, watch sports. Most importantly, watch us talk about sports. Come on back. We're on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook. We'll send you a link. John, say goodbye.
Hey, Gary, thanks for everything. Hey, thank you all for watching us. And like Gary said, watch sports, watch some baseball, watch the NBA draft, watch some soccer, just watch some sports. Come back and see us next week. Take care. Bye.